Okay guys, so I'm going to tell you a little bit more about using this ribbon effect. So right now what I have is this picture of Rose, and I'm going to take out some of the things that are on here. I'm going to use the magic wand tool to try to select all the things that are white that are on here. Go to the picture of him. So make sure you know you're on this one. Select that. I should get a pretty good feel for what is what. Now I can move over to the mask and I can take out these little parts pretty well. Remember, if you make a mistake, you can always go back in with the white brush and fix it. There we go. And now it's starting to look more like just him. Got the fingertips done. Forearm. Alright, that's pretty good. Now this area in here though, kind of messed up his arm. There. So I'm going to fix that. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on right there. Looks like this area got kind of messed up just a little bit. Okay, so this is how you'd fix something like that. I'm going to bring this back on. Mask that same area. See what I just did? All I did is I had this layer, I had my right selection, my correct selection. Oops, let me fix that little part up there with black first. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm going in with the white right over that area, and then with that selection correct, then all I need to do, I can do the same thing over here with this fingertips. Then all I need to do is mask it, and it brings his arm back like it's supposed to be. So it works out. Okay, so a couple things to talk about. You know, if you come in with that, then you're masking out, and you'll see this white from behind. So you're going to have to be careful of stuff like that. Okay, so the ribbon. I'm going to get a brand new layer, take my pen tool, and I'm going to just make a swirl that kind of comes around like this and kind of goes up and wraps around the ball a little bit. So I'll start here, and I'm going to click and drag, and I'm going to click and drag, and I'll click and drag, and I'll click and drag, click and drag, and then come around the ball like that. There we go. Hold down Option, and I can move this handle out just a little bit more, down a little bit more, so it follows that curve of the ball a little bit better. There. Holding down that Option key turns it into the Convert Anchor Point tool. Now if I can just click on it, it just turns this into an angle. But if I click and drag, then I get the curve. Alright, this one looks a little weird, so we're going to play with this a little bit more. Maybe bring it out to like there, and then I'm going to click and drag. was watching this curve over here. Wanted to make it look good. Okay, so now I have my curve. If I go to my paths, I have that current path. And now I have to decide what I want my brush to be. So I'm going to stick with one that's maybe like that. That looks pretty good, something about that thin. But there's something cool new that I want to show you about brush dynamics. If I go to my shape dynamics and my brush tip shape, I can change some things. See, I can make this thick, I can make it thin, I can change the angle of it. If I go to my shape dynamics, I can make my minimum diameter be very small, so it starts small, gets thick, and then ends small. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go to my shape dynamics. Minimum diameter is going to go down to 0%. Now notice the only way I can play with these things is if I have my brush tool selected. As soon as I get off my brush tool, I can't do anything. So I want to have my brush tool selected. Other dynamics, you can see what the opacity does. The flow, yeah, so I'm going to keep those all at 0 so they're all the same. You can play around with a lot of these. You can go to airbrush, smoothing. I don't know if you can see it on the recording, but it just kind of makes these a little bit more pointy. So I'm going to stick with that. And now, that's my brush, but now look what happens when it goes on to him. I'm going to have this selected, and I'm going to paint with the brush and see how it gets really skinny towards the end. Whoa, wait a minute, it's not getting skinny towards the end. Let's fix that. Brush. Maybe it just needs to be a little bit bigger. Don't want any scattering. Scattering is definitely working. Brush tip shape. Pen pressure, yeah, that's what I want. Okay, that's kind of weird. Well, let's figure this out. Okay, well that's really weird. I cannot figure out what is going on with that. Normally it's supposed to look like this. So I'm going to let you guys play with that, see if you can figure it out. It's very strange. One thing I could do is pick one of these, and it's very obviously going to be a ribbon, but I can't figure out how to make the regular brush go. Anyway, alright, well, we'll figure that out this week. Okay, so now I have this on its own layer. Now some of the things I was going to show you that's new, you got two new things. First one is I'm going to make another new layer, and I'll call this one bursts. This one I'll call the ribbon. So if I take the ribbon layer and I double click on it, it brings up my layer style options. I can do this really cool thing called outer glow. If I increase the size, I can actually make it glow, and if I click on this yellow square, I can determine what I want the color to be. So I want it to be pretty red because it's red, because the bowls, obviously. You can play around with the blending modes here. You can do overlay, so it really only shows up on parts of it. Soft light makes it a little bit softer. Hard light makes it a little bit harder. Screen, I think, is the default. Yeah. So it looks pretty good. So then what we're going to do is have a mask put on here, and then I'm going to take out some parts. And keep that one and get rid of this one. And then you just kind of keep working around it, just like this. Alright, so then here's some other things that I've done. I want you to add this next thing, which is on this bursts layer. I want you to put a couple of little gradients in a diamond shape, or you could go with a circular shape. You can do red to transparency, or I chose white to transparency. Kind of gives a little bit of a kind of a cool little extra effect. But I just realized I need to mask out the center of his legs there real quick. There we go. Oops, totally on the wrong layer there. And then I gotta flip this around. There we go. Alright, so that's what I want you to do, is to work on your ribbons a little bit more. If you don't like the one you made, do another one, and then put a glow on it, and then go to these bursts, a brand new layer, and put these little star bursts kind of all over and around him. And then, again, another cool background would be really nice. I mean, there's more things that you could add to it if you wanted to. Like on top of this one, you could do another layer and have it be white to transparency, star, and go out this way, or maybe more like that. You know, you can play around with this quite a bit. So have some fun with it.